Welcome to our exploration of a dark chapter in history that often goes unspoken, the phenomenon of human zoos. This term refers to the disturbing practice of displaying people from various cultures, particularly those of African descent, in exhibitions that dehumanize them and showcase them as curiosities for entertainment. These exhibitions were prevalent from the late 19th century into the early 20th century, often held in Europe and the United States, where individuals were stripped of their dignity and treated as mere objects for public amusement. As we delve into this topic, it's crucial to understand the historical context that allowed such practices to flourish. Rooted in the racist ideologies of the time, these zoos were a reflection of the prevailing attitudes that deemed non-European cultures as inferior. This not only perpetuated harmful stereotypes, but also had lasting impacts on the perception of African communities, reinforcing systemic racism that persists today. In this video, we aim to engage you with the stories of those who were subjected to these inhumane displays, shedding light on the implications of such practices. By understanding the past, we can better comprehend the ongoing struggles against racism and the importance of recognizing the humanity in every individual. Join us as we uncover the realities of human zoos and their profound effects on society and culture. To understand the origins and development of human zoos, we must first examine the socio-political climate of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This era was marked by rapid industrialization, colonial expansion, and a growing fascination with the so-called exotic cultures of the world. European powers were engaged in a race to colonize vast territories in Africa and Asia, which fostered a mindset that justified the subjugation and exploitation of non-European peoples. This environment created a fertile ground for the emergence of human zoos, where individuals from colonized regions were displayed as living exhibits. Key events, such as the 1889 Exposition Universelle in Paris, showcased entire villages of indigenous people, including Africans, who were presented as specimens of their cultures. These exhibitions were not isolated incidents. They became a global phenomenon, with similar displays occurring in cities like London and New York. Such events reinforced the notion that African individuals were fundamentally different and inferior, perpetuating harmful stereotypes that dehumanized entire communities. Colonialism played a pivotal role in shaping perceptions of race and humanity during this time. The ideology of racial superiority was deeply embedded in colonial narratives, which portrayed colonized peoples as primitive and in need of Western civilization. This devaluation of African humanity laid the groundwork for the acceptance of human zoos, allowing society to view these exhibitions as acceptable forms of entertainment, rather than a violation of human rights. Understanding this historical context is essential to grasp the lasting impact of these practices on contemporary discussions about race and identity. Throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, several notable exhibitions showcased African individuals as part of human zoos, reflecting the prevailing attitudes of the time. One of the most significant was the 1900 Paris Exposition Universelle, which celebrated the achievements of French civilization while simultaneously displaying people from colonized regions. Among the exhibits, a village of 400 individuals from the Congo was constructed, allowing visitors to observe their daily lives as if they were mere curiosities. This exhibition not only highlighted the exoticism of African cultures, but also reinforced the notion of racial superiority by presenting these individuals as primitive. Another prominent example was the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, where a group of pygmies from the Congo was featured in a recreated African village. The portrayal of these individuals was often dehumanizing, reducing them to stereotypes that emphasized their supposed savagery and lack of civilization. Such depictions served to justify colonial rule and perpetuated harmful narratives about African peoples. Public reaction to these exhibitions was mixed. While many attendees were fascinated and entertained, others began to question the ethics of displaying human beings in such a manner. The media played a crucial role in promoting these events, often sensationalizing the exhibits and framing them as educational experiences. This coverage contributed to the normalization of human zoos, allowing society to overlook the inherent racism and exploitation involved. By analyzing these exhibitions, we can better understand the historical context of racism and its lingering effects on perceptions of African communities today. The long-term effects of human zoos on African societies and cultures are profound and multifaceted. For individuals who were subjected to these exhibitions, the psychological ramifications were often devastating. Many experienced trauma from being treated as objects of curiosity, stripped of their dignity and humanity. This dehumanization not only affected their self-perception, but also had ripple effects on their families and communities, leading to a legacy of psychological scars that can persist across generations. Moreover, these exhibitions significantly contributed to the perpetuation of harmful stereotypes and systemic racism. By presenting African individuals as primitive or savage, human zoos reinforced a narrative that justified colonial exploitation and discrimination. This portrayal has had lasting implications, influencing how African cultures are viewed both historically and in contemporary society. The stereotypes born from these exhibitions continue to shape perceptions, often leading to discrimination and social marginalization. Despite the dehumanization, African communities have shown remarkable resistance and resilience. Many individuals who were part of these exhibitions later became advocates for their cultures, challenging the narratives imposed upon them. Grassroots movements and cultural revitalization efforts have emerged, aiming to reclaim African identities and histories from the shadows of colonialism. This resilience highlights the strength of African communities in confronting and overcoming the legacies of human zoos, fostering a renewed sense of pride and cultural heritage. By acknowledging these impacts, we can better appreciate the ongoing struggles against racism and the importance of honoring the humanity of all individuals. The legacy of human zoos continues to resonate in contemporary society, influencing current racial dynamics and shaping discussions around representation and racism. The historical practice of displaying African individuals as curiosities has left an indelible mark on how race is perceived and treated today. The stereotypes and dehumanizing narratives that emerged from these exhibitions still permeate societal attitudes, contributing to systemic racism and discrimination that many communities face. In the realm of media, the ongoing issues of representation are starkly evident. While there has been progress in showcasing diverse voices and stories, the remnants of past injustices often manifest in the portrayal of African and marginalized communities. Stereotypes rooted in the era of human zoos can still be found in films, television, and advertising, perpetuating harmful images that fail to capture the complexity and richness of these cultures. This highlights the need for more authentic representation that honors the humanity and diversity of African experiences. Encouraging critical reflection on historical injustices is essential for understanding their relevance today. By examining the legacy of human zoos, we can confront uncomfortable truths about racism and its enduring impact on society. This reflection fosters a deeper awareness of the need for social justice and equity, urging individuals and communities to challenge stereotypes and advocate for a more inclusive narrative. Ultimately, acknowledging this legacy is a crucial step toward healing and building a more equitable future for all. In this video, we have explored the troubling history of human zoos and their connection to racism, highlighting the significant impact these exhibitions had on African individuals and communities. We discussed how the socio-political climate of the late 19th and early 20th centuries allowed these dehumanizing practices to flourish, showcasing individuals as mere curiosities and reinforcing harmful stereotypes. The legacy of human zoos continues to influence contemporary racial dynamics, reminding us of the ongoing struggles against systemic racism and the importance of authentic representation in media.